On another exciting episode of the Animation Deliberation podcast, just like Satoru Gojo, we are all wrapped up with Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. We're going to talk about that and much more right after these ads we have no control over.
Sing along if you know the words. A 1, 2, 3, it's time for Animation Deliberation. A conversation and a celebration of our favorite action animated series, yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to another episode of Animation Deliberation, the podcast. Good lord. Where we take action, animation, and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously. I am your under-the-weather host, Zuhair Lee.
And I am your feeling much better this week host, Andrew Rogers.
Yeah, we just take it turns to keep the balance, covering for each other, but we're here. We make it happen. And for a finale such as this, a lot of anticipation going into the season, a lot of delay between the movie and the season, lots of scrutiny over the season, and it's finally over. How are we feeling?
Confused? Like, I'm so happy to be here. It was gratifying to get to the end. It's like, okay, we made it. This is the finale. But gosh, if I wasn't holding my head through like half of this, just trying to disseminate the information that was in front of us, like, it wouldn't be a JJK season finale if you're not left asking more questions than you have answers to, because I feel like that was really how this felt.
Yeah, because like we talk about how they're not very good at explaining things.
No, they are not.
And there was an episode dedicated to explaining things.
It was an episode dedicated to explaining things, but like so much dialogue to keep up with, even reading it, even pausing, even thinking about it, was just so like, we'll get into it deeper as we get into this episode, but just like, it goes back to the whole, I need to understand techniques. I need to understand who these people are. I need to remember names from 40 episodes ago. Like, it is just intense. It's really funny. Monica is flying through the season now. She's trying to catch up for the finale.
So Monica was going through the finale. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So Monica's going through the finale, fighting the curse, getting to the finale. She got to the part of like Sukuna fighting the cursed dog, whatever thing that I cannot remember the name of. And she looked at me and she's like, the fight was great. I was keeping up. But I just like tuned out half of what was going on. I don't know who these characters are, what their powers are, because I just can't keep up anymore. And I'm like, that is exactly how I felt through most of this show, is just, I can't keep up with the dialogue. I'm going to watch a pretty fight scene. And then to get all this dialogue at the end, I was like, no, where's my pretty fight scene? Like, it was intense. It was a lot. But it was also really good because it did answer some of the questions that we'd been having all season. And a lot of what was set up, I'm just upset that we didn't get to see some specific characters do specific things that I feel like we've been waiting for.
And then it's interesting, like, how much we used to crap on anime for, like, how many times they would, like, refer to something that happened the episode before. And be like, we just watched it, move on, why are we wasting 20 minutes of time, like, to do this? And now it's like, what are they talking? Huh? This happened, So, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
This definitely is just more of a bingeable show for me. And it's sad to say, but also, because of the popularity of the show, now that I'm invested, spoilers come out like that.
I will say, I am not on, I think about halfway through this season, it redeemed itself for me that I am not on team binge. I was so happy to keep up every week and be like, okay, what's happening? How is this going to go? Because watching a couple episodes in a row, oh God, that would have been rough. Like, I think having the break and the breather and the like, okay, I need to know what happens next week, but also I can unwind a little bit from the reeling emotions that are going through me of these characters.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what I need to consume more while I'm under the weather so that we can talk about these spoilers.
That is very true, because as you could tell, I am better this week. I made it through like it was nothing, thanks to keeping myself hydrated and totally on top of things. And, you know, one of the best ways to do that is to keep up, like I know Zuhair is going to be doing all week, with Liquid IV. He's holding up his mug. He has it here. He is drinking. He is ready to go, because this sponsor is tremendous at helping you out with staying hydrated.
Yep, 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. The results of an extensive R&D process to perfect the flavor and efficacy, Liquid IV combines science-backed zero-sugar technology with the brand's commitment to delicious real flavor. No artificial sweeteners and zero sugar with proprietary amino acid allulose blend for a sweet taste without the calories or raised blood glucose levels you get from sugar. Contains 8 vitamins and nutrients for everyday wellness with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports
And if you could not tell, he was hoping that I would do that for him, but
drink.
I really wanted to see how he would power through just to show you the difference in energy that it can give you because it's so good at getting you on track, keeping you hydrated. And like I said, it brought me all the way back through. And it's not only good for you, but it's good for the rest of the world and the environment because it is non GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. And Liquid IV also believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. They partner with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions that help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50 plus countries around the world. So whether you are over the moon or under the weather, you might want to get yourself some Liquid IV. And a great way to do that is by going to liquidiv.com and using the code STAYWHELMED at checkout to get 20% off when you grab your Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier sugar-free or any other variant. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code STAYWHELMED at liquidiv.com. And as always, thank you for supporting the brands that support animation Deliberation. Because without them, what are we doing? We're just
Get
going to
immune support.
yeah, get yourself some immune support. Like I said, it's only going to help you feel better in all sorts of situations. But speaking of feeling some kind of way, we've talked at length about how this episode explains things. And in case you need a recap, I feel like there is no better week for us to read a recap, but I feel like I need it just to make sure we have all the information. Here you go with Shibuya Incident Gate Close. Yuki confronts Pseudo-Geto over their conflicting ideologies, the former believing humanity's next step in evolution is the removal of cursed energy, while the latter believes in optimizing cursed energy. Pseudo-Geto proceeds to remotely activate Mahito's idol transfiguration on 2 different kinds of non-sorcerers all over Japan. Those who consumed cursed objects like Yuji, and those with latent curse techniques like Junpei, turning them all into sorcerers. Among those awakened are Sumiki Fushiguro. Pseudo-Geto declares he will force the 2 groups to kill each other in order to gain a deeper understanding of cursed energy. Urame's ice melts due to a poison from Choso's blood, but Pseudo-Geto unleashes a horde of cursed spirits, allowing them to escape. Telling Yuji he has high expectations for him and Sukuna. He's bringing the world back to the Heian Age. In the aftermath, people around the country are reacting to the mysterious attack on Shibuya, while the government struggles to deal with everything, planning to go public about the existence of cursed energy as cursed spirits grow more rampant among the streets. Meanwhile, the Jujutsu higher-ups declare Gojo an accomplice to the Shibuya incident, sentence Principal Yaga to death, and reinstate Yuji's execution, with Yuta Okatsu named his executioner.
The second half of this episode was really interesting because it was, in some ways, a time skip. And they had the right idea
Yes.
on certain parts, but they weren't very consistent on it. But I do want to compliment them on what they were going for. And that is the horror aspect that
Oh, yeah.
Kaisen Zero and Season 1 have had. I wanted to see more of like the cars on the road, no one's driving, the girl's little doll, laying in the middle of the street. Like I wanted to see kind of more of the chaos that came about from this. I think there was too much time spent on people listening to the news and less of how terrible of a state that we're actually in right now. Because last week we even talked about like, are there government officials that know about this? Is it a secret agency? Is it a secret concept? Do the rest of the world know about it? I think we got like some answers with that in
Yeah,
this
I would say so.
sequence. So I was grateful for that. But the way that, despite the fact that I'm just shivering because I'm sick right now, that actually gave me like heebie jeebies seeing the girl in the market just eating the scrap food and the the lure that the curse had, trying to like call her in and the build up to that. I'm just like, they got to get back to more of this because I'm not a big horror fan, and that was an aspect of the first season that I really liked. Is that the curses genuinely made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think it's the weird way that these like small level curses are much more of like spooky, scary ghost as opposed to these big ones that are just like, oh, they're the most powerful, essentially sorcerers, but they're just curses out there. But yeah, you mentioned it. They laid a lot of groundwork for those horror sequences. They showed a lot of like what's going on. And I do think it was a nice, slow build to the confusion and the chaos and just like there was no explanation. We saw that circle slowly growing, knowing that the
Mm-hmm.
curses were getting further out. That means more people were going to be, under attack and having problems. So it did a lot to aid that. And yeah, it answered kind of our biggest question that it is not public knowledge of curses. Like some people might believe it, they might be conspiracists, but now they're going to go public and this is going to be real information. So I feel like
What is the
what
world
this
military gonna do?
yeah, it's the world military. There was a lot of insinuations about like how the US might step in and how all of these world powers aren't going to take this. Like there's a lot of questioning going on about that. And I think it sets up the question that we've been asking this whole time is where does the show go? It's going to be an entirely new world in season 3. I feel like you know, it's kind of been always set in a Japan that we understand. It's a modern world, but there's some, interworkings going on in the background at Jujutsu High. It feels like this upcoming season is just being set up to be true chaos, true fictional world. I'm getting almost like the beginning of Infinity War, Captain America, like Civil War vibes, where it's like, oh,
Mm,
we're gonna have a bunch of our people disavowed, and they're going underground, but they're secretly trying to save people. Like, I'm almost hoping that we get a cross of horror and like secret agent vibes
mm-hmm.
going on because that's a lot of what I felt like I was getting at the end. Is it was like, okay, these people have to now come out of hiding and they have to help people, and like everyone's at risk, but they don't even know how big that risk is. Like, super cool, but it's a lot to suddenly have like halfway through this episode just flipped the switch from Shibuya incident to back to like the aftermath. Like there
Mm-hmm.
was not a transition. It just was literal record cut on the music. Okay, we're going to
Yeah,
something else now.
yeah.
Like
As he went through the portal and the gate closed, just like,
yeah, I
and
was I was confused and concerned.
for all the excitement for Yuta, like, when's he gonna come back? How is he gonna come back? What's the purpose? You think it's gonna be like him and Itadori working together, but to find that Gojo's a criminal, Principal Yaga's a criminal, I don't understand that one at all. And then for this to be Itadori is in hiding and Yuta's hunting him is just, this is quite the time jump.
Yeah, Yuta like reappearing, I had that little cheer of like, there he is. We've been waiting for you.
So happy, so confident.
Yeah.
Rika's so
Oh my god.
savage.
Him looking Rita, that's a little over the top. Can we cool it down here? I was like, oh no, this is getting to be a bit much. But yeah, I think the explanation that I would have with Principal Yuga is one of two things. Either A, they're just using him as like a scapegoat,
Sure.
just to be like, you sent in Gojo, whomst we're blaming, so you are at fault. Or remember, like, this is where the first 5 episodes really kind of come into play. He was the one that said to Gojo and Geto, like, do what you want, make this world your own. Like, you don't have to go through with what the higher ups are saying. They could be linking it way back to him, like inciting what
Yeah, I
happened
was kind of
between
thinking
Gojo
that.
and Geto, like way back, which would be a super deep cut for them to know. Unless like Principal Yaga threw his hand up and said, "This is my fault." But I think it was the more interesting thing that Gojo is like being declared an accomplice. I don't know if that's a scapegoat. I don't know if that's just not information. If they're assuming that like because it is Geto that they were best friends, so he would have had something to do with it. I'm very intrigued that
Maybe
it's
it
going to
has
be
to.
spun somehow in season 3.
Maybe it has to do with the Tengen story and how they took the vessel away. Like maybe a delay in that was like the cause of like maybe pseudo Geto or the brain curse or whatever like getting out.
Yeah, they're
Because they mention Tengen a lot, but still we know like nothing about him.
and so that right there is a little bit of where I say this episode gets really confusing is in that first half where they're throwing out Tengen's name, and there was the picture of the big hole in the ground. So I was like, are we going to see Tengen's power? And like it was kind of thrown out that that might have been where Geto got the idea, or they were. At first I thought they were using their power to amplify what was going on, but I don't think that was actually the answer that we were given. I think even in this synopsis, they just mentioned that it was remotely activating Mahito's technique. So I feel like there's some other thing going on with Tengen. And again, we didn't even get to see, I don't have her name in front of me, but the main like top level sorceress that came back. We didn't
Yuki.
even. Oh, is that Yuki?
It's the first word.
There you go. Yuki like didn't even get to see her technique, didn't even get to see really much of that. It was just a small confrontation of like, hey, here it is, and then that was it. So
Talking to Itadori like they've been buddies for so many years.
oh my gosh, and the animation on her was just
I
so
love it.
it was delightful, it was funny, it was so many things that like it felt like we were getting just two pals, like you say. We also don't even have the answer, just side note, of Nobara's fate. That's a whole thing that is
What about
still up in the
Maki?
air. Yeah, there's so
She
no
caught on fire
Maki.
last time we saw her.
I'm assuming that Maki's gone, just in the fate of everyone else, including why can I not remember Nanami? Like, come on,
Yeah.
yeah, like finding out everyone's fate like that. I have to imagine, but yeah,
It
it
was
was.
interesting how much Pseudo Gato wanted Jogo's power too.
Yeah, was that just like an extra? I can get something out of this, or was there actually like a purpose that now we're gonna find out that he can't do a portion of his plan because of that? Again, so much talking in the first half of this episode that I'm just like scanning the Cliff's notes in my head, and I watched.
Terraforming's all I can think of.
Yeah, but I think that's the craziest thing. I watched this maybe an hour ago, if that. Like, I made sure to watch it going into this, knowing that there was going to be plenty to talk about, plenty to do, and I still am grasping at straws of the information that was presented.
Mm-hmm.
That's This is going to be worth a rewatch, possibly in English, just to be able to slow it down and hear it and read it at the same time, like fully get the information. Because
We have to watch things at half speed.
yeah, literally watch things at half speed. And I think it's hard because we were in the middle of an intense situation, so trying to read it while you're also getting a read on who's okay, who's going to be able to fight. Oh no, look, there's an entire horde of curses that are like pouring out of nowhere. There was so much going on that the information almost took a backseat at times.
Apparently, he was going to casually bring up that Inamaki lost his arms to Itadori.
Yeah, I think that's another great question is, was this purposeful? Like, did this happen off screen and like Itadori got in a fight? Or
What was it,
was
Sukuna?
was it Sukuna Itadori? Because we know that he was on site at Shibuya. So like there was that little moment where he was like, don't worry, I got this, and was taking out curses on the street. Is that where it happened? I'm very intrigued.
Okay. I
Yeah,
thought we
that's right.
saw him, like a snippet of him once after that, but I could be wrong.
I don't
Or it
think
could
we've
have been
seen him again
before.
since prior to Itadori going underground. I think that would be the last. It was up
Maybe it
on the
was just a
street.
name drop, like Inumaki said that you guys were down here. So I remember him being brought up in some capacity. I just can't remember how. Maybe it was just a
I
name drop.
Yeah, I want to know where Yuta's been at though. Like, where was Yuta hiding during all of this? That suddenly, like, he's back and now he's got to get revenge. Like, hey, what were you doing
Yeah,
the
because
whole time that we could have used your help, sir?
it's Gojo that finds him in the end credit scene of the movie with the
Yeah,
chef dude.
he's part of like the class, isn't he?
He's like a distant cousin.
What do you mean a distant cousin?
Oh, the classroom. Yeah, he's like Maki and Panda and Inamaki's class.
Yeah, like he's in Inamaki's class. That's why he
Hmm.
actually cares about him so much. But I
Yeah.
feel like that's the bigger, like, okay, but we assigned all of the classmates to this situation, despite some of them very clearly, like, possibly not being capable of the situation. Where was the most capable of all of them?
Well, apparently he was in another country, but now I'm wondering, like, did Gojo find him before all this happened? Did he actually see this coming and put Yuta in, like, keep him informed? Is this way afterwards? Like, are we not getting fruition to that end credit scene for a while? Like, when did that end credit scene happen? That's what I want to know now.
Or the end credit scene you're talking, like, with.
With Yuta, the chef villain from the movie, they're just like sitting at a table and eating outside, and then Gojo just walks up to him and it's like, "Hey, Yuta, it's been a while." It's like,
Oh, yeah.
wait, tied this in.
That's right. I guess that could technically be before all of this.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think about that. Because it's most likely not after. Because
either
the
that or it's like arcs and arcs and arcs after, and then again, every episode we're questioning like how far is the show actually going.
Yeah, well, but I mean that's a bigger thing. We talk about, okay, it could be later. Gojo's still in the prison realm. Like he's gone. That's why these curses are about to run amok.
I was
Like
very surprised by that.
I was very surprised that we didn't get some sort of like, haha, I had a way out, or someone saving. Like, no, the world is in disarray. It felt like they were kind of setting up that Itadori is the last hope.
It seems that way.
Although, were you like, it was a great scene of him on the bridge there at the end when he clapped his hands. Were you expecting him to teleport too?
I didn't know what I was expecting.
When he clapped his hands, I was like, no, no way. He
No,
like somehow did something with the technique that he can clap his hands and his brother can help. But nah, alas. Instead, it's just, again, it seems like he is actively out here like hunting the curses, trying to save people, trying to redeem himself. Like I'm sure there's going to be a lot of dialogue between him and Yuta where he's like, no, I deserve whatever you're about to do, but we need to stop these curses and save people first.
yeah, the way that they gave that update of the characters at the end, I need like like at the end of a based on a true story movie where they're like, ah,
Where are
yes,
they
this many
now?
years later, this person's doing this. This person ended up in jail. This one died of X, Y, and Z. Like, I need that for the characters that you haven't bothered to show us at all.
Yeah, no, we need a roundup. Again, Sukuna had some plan for Megumi. Like, there's so many dangling threads and so many things, but this is exactly how it was last season, where there were all of these dangling threads, and Gojo was sending Nobara and Megumi on their own little like quest, and they had the side conversation of like whose family is who. Like, they really like to mess with us in so many ways because also we're going again. I keep talking about season 3, but how can I not when it's like, oh well, there's so many things left to happen. It feels like we're gonna have another genre shift, like season 1, fun action, slight like slice of life ninja show. Season 2, absolute horror massacre. Season 3, thriller on the chase, saving people. Like they're just going in so many directions that like I don't know what to expect because the serious difference between season 1 and 2 is so notable that it's like, okay, well, we got to keep going. And I think the big question is, how long was it between season 1 and 2? Like, how long are we expecting a Demon Slayer every
Two
year
and a half
situation?
years,
What was that?
2 or 2.5 years.
2 or 2.5 years. I don't want to rush this. Mappa, please, please.
But the delay was because the movie was doing so well in theaters. It was the Suzume thing, where it's like,
Yes.
well, people are still watching it internationally, so why pull it from the theater when it's making this much money that we're not going to pay our animators with?
Yeah, there definitely is that problem. Gosh, this started on July 6th. We've been at this for this long.
Have you really?
I'm just seeing like original release July 6th through December 28th is this
What?
season. Yeah, it was July 6th was hidden inventory 1. This has been half a year.
Yeah, 52 weeks in a year. We're at 23 episodes. No breaks. Makes sense.
All gas, no brakes.
I wonder we haven't made time for anything else.
Seriously, we have not had time for anything else because like Jujutsu Kaisen has taken up all of our time. Let's see. List of Jujutsu Kaisen episodes. So the first season came out October 3rd, 2020 through March 2021. And then came back in 2023. So that was about a 2-year gap. But there was a movie in there. So I wouldn't expect anything less than a year and a half, though.
Year and a half is that's fine.
I feel like a year and a
Throw in
half
a
is.
little My Hero OTA in the
I
middle.
was just about to say, I feel like unless you were like My Hero Academia and like Demon Slayer, year and a half is small. Like, I think we're just gonna sidebar. That's one of the worst things. As I've had a little bit more free time over the holidays, I've just been picking up some smaller anime, and like knowing that I'm gonna get to the end of this, or having gotten to the end of some like 10, 12 episode things, and the seasons came out like years ago, and you have no idea if a season 2 is ever going to come, is like heartbreaking and hard to deal with. So the idea that it's like, okay, we're definitely getting a season 3 of the show. Maybe it'll take 2 years. I think I can live with that.
So I haven't started Hunter x Hunter yet.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter may never come back, and I'm okay with that because the end point is very good. But then you have Black Clover where it ended, and it's like, oh no, there's more of this story to tell big time. It's been years
It was
since
not a
we've
happy
got,
cliffhanger.
yeah, it's been a couple years since we've gotten that. I think 2025 is when that's coming back. But like, I'm currently watching Apothecary Diaries. Turns out that's ongoing. Phenomenal show, but no idea where it's gonna like end ever. Let's see.
You know,
What was
watch
the
Spy Family
yeah,
and
Spy
Rising of the Shield Arrow.
well, Spy Family just ended.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 absolutely phenomenal. Like
I miss
oh,
Animinutes.
yeah, Animinutes, we gotta bring that back because season 2 of Spy Family has been so good. The movie has come out in Japan. Hopefully we'll be getting it in the US at some point here. But yeah, there's so many shows. Like Licorice Recoil is a great one. I absolutely love the first season. Don't know if there's ever going to be a second season. I just have to live with that now. Jujutsu Kaisen, at least we don't have to deal with the struggle of questioning if it's going to come back. It's just when is it going to come back? It'll probably be 2 years, maybe 3. Oh well, let's let Mappa people rest, please. Because if we ask for it any sooner than 2 years, it might be garbage because all of the good animators might just leave.
Yeah, just pick one animation style and stick with it. Have your standard, your action, and your comedy.
Yeah,
Which
I
I
think
feel
now.
like this episode actually did a really good job at. Because there's the animation that we were used to, and then every time we were talking about the funny sequences with Yuki. But then when it went from the newscast to like the camera panning down the aisles of the grocery store, you saw that shift and like the level of detail just shot up, and I was like, oh, what's about to happen now?
Yeah, that was the good stuff. That was again that horror where it's just like you're being completely drawn into the world like we got so much in season 1, and I think that's why you were comparing it subconsciously. You were just like, "Ah, this feels the same." So, who knows, maybe things were a little bit more back on track, maybe because there wasn't a big fight season this episode or fight scene this episode. They could stretch the budget a little bit more. But yeah, hopefully Mappa has some good news coming because I know they have more coming out, but I don't
One Punch
know.
Man is probably the next big project.
I was about to say One Punch Man is the next, but I don't think they've had anything like hugely on their
Attack on Titan
list.
came out. Chainsaw Man was this year.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, we had a ton this year already come out, but it's like, okay, well, they had Vinland Saga come out this year. They did Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill. This has popped up on my feed so many times. It is on my watch list, but it is not anything that I look at this cover and think to myself, "Oh, this is a Mappa joint." But here we are. Apparently, we got to watch that. But yeah, of everything on this list of like coming 2023 and 2024, we've gotten most of it already, aside from One Punch Man, and I guess they have a Yuri on Ice movie. But I don't know. they do great work, but I'm hoping that they do take at least a little bit of a break coming out of all of this,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm sure we're going to get more Chainsaw Man. We're obviously going to get more of this. I doubt One Punch Man is stopping. So there's plenty more on the agenda, but at least Attack on Titan's out of the way so they
Mm-hmm.
can do that and
Did you
make
watch
room
any of the little spin-offs that they did?
for
Like when you
Attack on Titan.
finish, oh wait, have you finished Attack on Titan?
No, I still have not had
Oh,
the
okay.
heart to sit down and watch that finale.
So when you finish Attack on Titan, there's actually more episodes after that. It's kind of like going back in time, and it's like little episodes from like different characters from like just different points. They like expanded on some of the stories.
Yeah, but at the very least,
I'm
it's
just letting you know that's
mostly done.
cool. And
Yeah.
if anybody else hadn't known that, then surprise.
Yeah,
Which you
we
probably
are
did, because if you finished part two, then it just automatically tries to start.
Yeah, we are an anime and animation show, so we could talk about these other things. But we are here to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen. I think with this season being a wrap, it's definitely one of the greats. If it could explain things better, it's literally my only complaint about this show is I'm so confused walking away from it so often. But the story that they have told, absolutely top tier, belongs in the like new Gen 3 conversation. I don't necessarily think it's a winner.
This is why it won't end up on my Rushmore.
No, I don't think it's Rushmore worthy, but it's again, it's in the conversation. Like if someone were to tell me that it's on their Rushmore, I don't have an argument for them. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not one of those where I'm like, "Oh, I could see other things." Like if you love this, I can totally see why. I think it was tremendous. I think it did so many things well. I just like knowing. Like there's so many other shows where it's simple and easy to understand the power and like you don't have questions after that.
Was it you that said that we need Deku to cross over in the show just to explain things to us?
That might have been. We were definitely
Like
talking about
instead of a
that like
Juju stroll, it's
early
just Deku
on.
coming in and filling everybody in with what happened.
Seriously, just give us a Juju stroll where you actually explain some things. Even that would be delightful. But yeah, it's not. It's tremendous in so many ways. I'm trying to remember what the new Gen 3 conversation is. It's Attack on Titan.
Black Clover's in there.
Well, what's the second one? Because it's like Attack on Titan. Oh, it's Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer.
Demon
And
Slayer.
then the argument is like, okay, who deserves the third slot? And yeah, it comes up often in the conversation. I will say I don't think manga readers blew this one out of the water. I think there was a lot of like so many manga readers being like, "Oh my god, the Shibuya incident! You're gonna have to wait and see. This is gonna be crazy." And at the beginning, we were
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I don't know." No, they were right. This was absolutely one of the most insane. Like, I think we're just a little desensitized to it because of things like Attack on Titan absolutely destroying our mental capacity for a story prior to
No,
this.
I genuinely think the manga readers blew it out of proportion.
I don't think so at all. Are you kidding me? This was absurd. I never would have seen this level of death, destruction, character loss. Like they rounded it out so well. They had the characters react in the right way. The way that Itadori is just falling apart now at
But
this
it's
point.
like it's spread out in so many ways. It's spread out in a way, in my opinion, where it's like, oh yeah, we forgot to convey the emotion of like thousands of people are dead.
No, I don't think they forgot to do that at all. What do you mean?
No, I
I feel
think like when Itadori had his dialogue, it was because I even said at one point I was like, "Go just like running around killing people." It's just like I no big deal, whatever.
well, but that was different than Itadori doing it. Like I feel like that was a character choice as opposed to a storytelling choice.
Yeah, but if I if I put it from like a 1 to 5, with 3 being whelmed, I think the manga readers put it at like a 5 when it really was like a 3.5 or a 4.
I think they put it at a 5 and it's at a 4, but I don't think many like if you went into
Like
this
I'm not trying to say
blind.
that they were like I'm not trying to discredit the excitement of it.
Yeah.
I think it just went like too high. And it comes down to like this conversation that I've been having on like every freaking podcast that I'm on is like there's no gray area anymore, right? Like either something's absolutely amazing and you have to watch it or it's dog shit. Why did this ever made?
Yeah.
So I
No,
feel
that
like Shibuya incident specifically was just a victim to that. As I came in with these high expectations of every week's going to be this and you got to see this and it's gonna blow your mind and blah blah. I'm just like Yeah, there was moments where I was at the edge of my seat. There's moments where I was like, wow, this is phenomenal. But like as a whole, I don't think it met the expectation that like people set in my head.
I think, yeah, you may have been expectations set a little bit differently because, like, I knew it was going to be good. I knew it was going to be surprising, but I personally still had my expectations pretty set in. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, if I had gone in with nothing, knowing nothing, I would probably be putting this at like a 4.5, 5,
Same.
because yeah, like when you're a manga reader and you're flipping through it for the first time, you're like, wow, this is crazy. But I think it ends up, yeah, dropping to like a 4, like still super surprised, but definitely like knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that way about like the most recent season of My Hero, where there were all these people being like, oh my God, the Dark Deku arc, it's going to be crazy. You're not
Yeah.
ready for this. And I was like, we got 2 episodes where he was angsty. And then he came back to his friends, like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
guys talking about? Whereas if I was just watching it, I'd be like, this is super cool. I'm super into this. So I think it comes down to also like setting expectations, leveling ourselves. We are in that position of, like you said, there's not a lot of gray area left. And I'm trying to revive gray area because I very
Mm-hmm.
much like, that's why, like I said, I'm watching a lot of these smaller anime because they sit in that gray area where I'm just going to watch 12 episodes, have a delightful time, but I'm not about to be like, oh my gosh, this deserves Anime of the Year award at
Konosuba.
Crunchyroll. I'm just going to be like, no, instead, I got to watch My Dress Up Darling and watch 2 people like be goofy and fall in love. And it was a delightful show, but I'm still not
Mm-hmm.
about to scream from the rooftops. Like, there are categories and they all just fall into it. And I think being whelmed is like, we say whelmed, overwhelmed, underwhelmed. I think it's important to go back to the quote. And the quote was, Mr. Freeze was overwhelmed, Captain Cold was underwhelmed. Why isn't anyone just whelmed anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very, very good way to say it, is stay whelmed. Like, just be happy to be in that area. Don't expect to be overwhelmed. Don't expect to
Mm-hmm.
be wowed. Expect to have a good time. And at the end of the day, JJK, Shibuya Incident, overwhelmed. I'm still above the 3 whelmed. It was great. But don't go in. Don't tell people that you're going to be overwhelmed, because all you're going to do is end up underwhelming them. That's just what happens.
I'm genuinely hoping that people I tell should watch Jujutsu Kaisen now that season 2 is over. Because I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's an enjoyable show. Check it out. Trying to like keep it tempered, right?
Yeah.
So I genuinely want someone to text me and be like, "Oh my god, I'm watching season 2 X, Y, and Z happen." Like, genuinely wish that I could have that same reaction. Because not even that like I intentionally follow manga readers, I just really like fan art. So sometimes it pops up, I interact with it, and then it's like, "Hey, you want to hear about manga stuff?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 I don't. Keep it away from
No.
me."
Yeah, disconnecting yourself from the internet is probably the hardest thing to do, but it's definitely one of the best things. That's why I've said it way too many times this episode, but I'll keep saying it. Pick up a random anime, something that is like, oh, this is on the Crunchyroll recommended list or the Hulu, top of 2023. Just pick it up if you know nothing about it and go in with no expectations, and you're probably going to have a good time with a lot of things in this world if you just like, let me find something new if you have the free time. Obviously, not all of us have that free time. It's a big
No.
deal, but like, do it. Enjoy it. Enjoy things. Stop hating things and just enjoy more things. If you're not satisfied with the MCU, go watch a DC animated show. There you go. That's the soapbox to stand on in that moment. But yeah, I think that's a good round out. It's just like, have fun, enjoy it. And if you were watching this along with us for the first time this season, definitely write in, give us your thoughts. We would love to hear if you had a great time, if you weren't like super high on expectations and you just got this blown out of the water for you. I'm so happy for you. But we definitely love to hear from you. As always, reach out on any of our social medias, as well as the email, all of the things that Zuhair lists in his much less sick state at the end of this episode. All right. Zoo's given me the signal. He looks good. I look good. We're both tired. It's been a long season, and it's the end of 2023. We will talk to you all again in 2024 with more anime, more animation, and more things. But, in order to get that, keep tuning in. That's a TOONIN.
Stay well and stay healthy.
Stay healthy indeed by flexing on those muscles.
Thank you for listening to the Animation Deliberation Podcast, a proud member of the Stranded Panda Network. If you would like to contact us, you can email animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @animationdelib1. For this and other great shows, you can visit strandedpanda.com or join the great community that is the Stranded Panda Chat Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/svchat. Tune in next time, and remember, stay whelmed.